Emma Collins stood on the old wooden pier near Lake Crescent as the evening wind moved fast around her, matching the rush inside her chest. The day had already pushed her forward, and the night was not waiting for her to slow down. Her phone buzzed earlier with missed calls, emails, and messages, all pulling her in different directions, all asking something from her heart. Emma had always been careful, the kind of woman who planned her steps and avoided risk, but tonight felt different, like life itself had cornered her and demanded an answer. In her coat pocket were 3 letters she had read again and again, each one opening a door she never thought she could walk through at the same time. Daniel's letter was gentle and familiar, filled with love and patience, asking her to finally settle down with him in Seattle, to build a calm life full of shared mornings and quiet evenings. Lucas's message was bold and full of movement, inviting her to join him on a fast-moving journey across towns in the US and Canada, helping people, changing lives, and never staying still for too long. Nathan's email was sharp and clear, offering her a powerful chance to grow, to step into a creative role that would test her limits and force her to face who she really was. Emma did not read the letters again because she already knew them by heart. Her mind moved quickly, memories flashing like short scenes, Daniel smiling across the kitchen table, Lucas laughing on an open road, Nathan challenging her in late-night conversations. The pressure was heavy, but instead of fear, she felt something alive inside her, something she had ignored for years. She realized that choosing only one would mean cutting away parts of herself that mattered. Her hands shook slightly as she leaned on the railing, staring at the dark water below. She thought about how often she had made herself smaller to fit into simple answers, how often she had chosen comfort over truth. Tonight, she refused to do that again. Her breath came fast, her thoughts sharp, and in that moment she understood that life was not asking her to pick one dream, but to be brave enough to accept all of them, even if the path ahead was unclear. Emma straightened her back, feeling the weight of her choice settle into strength. She did not call anyone. She did not explain herself. She simply stood there, letting the cold air wake her fully, and whispered a quiet yes to love, purpose, and ambition all at once. The decision felt thrilling and frightening, like stepping into deep water without knowing how far it went, but her heart felt honest for the first time in years. As the lights from the town reflected across the lake, Emma turned away from the pier, knowing that everything in her life had just changed, and that there would be no going back to the woman she was before that night. Emma's life became a whirlwind after that night, a mix of love, adventure, and ambition that pushed her in every direction. Daniel noticed the shift first, the way she looked at him with new eyes, softer but alive, as if she was seeing the world for the first time. Their time together became deeper, quieter, filled with talks about fears, dreams, and what they truly wanted, rather than just routines or plans. Emma could feel Daniel's patience, his steady love, but she also knew she could not let herself be confined to one predictable path. With Lucas, everything moved fast. They drove through winding highways, snowy forests, and towns that seemed forgotten, spreading hope and laughter wherever they went. The thrill of the open road, the wind in her hair, the feeling of being alive in the moment with Lucas made her heart race in a way she hadn't known since she was young and reckless. Each day with him was full of movement, jokes, and sparks of attraction that left her breathless, yet she knew their connection was different from the quiet love she had with Daniel. Nathan challenged her in ways that made her mind ache with excitement, late-night calls, brainstorming sessions, and debates that forced her to confront her fears, ambitions, and weaknesses. With Nathan, she discovered a side of herself she had ignored for years, a strong, capable, passionate woman ready to step into her own power. Juggling all three was exhausting, emotionally draining, and yet thrilling. Emma felt alive in a way she had never imagined, and every night, when she was alone, she reflected on how much she was growing, changing, and learning. There were tears too, not from regret, but from the weight of loving deeply in so many directions, from knowing that she could not always control the emotions of others or her own heart. Daniel would call her and she would feel the ache of wanting stability, while Lucas would laugh over a video call and she felt the pull of freedom, and Nathan would challenge her with ideas that made her dream bigger than she had dared before. At times, the pull of 3 hearts, 3 paths, felt like too much, and Emma would sit alone in small hotel rooms or empty apartments, letting the emotions pour out, trying to breathe and accept that this was the life she had chosen. There was a strange comfort in the chaos, a sense that every choice she made was honest, true, and part of a bigger story she was living. Emma's days became a careful dance between them, balancing her feelings, her time, and her ambitions, but even in the exhaustion, she felt exhilarated. Each connection fed a different part of her soul, and she discovered that it was possible to feel love, friendship, and admiration deeply all at once. Through long drives, quiet dinners, and late-night brainstorming, she learned to communicate, to be present, and to embrace the uncertainty of her heart. She laughed louder, cried without shame, and let herself feel fully alive, knowing that the path was not simple, but it was hers. The days blurred into a tapestry of emotions: Daniel's comforting presence, Lucas's exciting energy, Nathan's inspiring brilliance, and Emma realized that she had never experienced life so vividly. Even when exhaustion weighed on her, even when doubt crept in, she reminded herself that this whirlwind of love and growth was a gift. She was no longer hiding, no longer shrinking herself to fit others' expectations. Instead, she was living fully, experiencing each moment with courage, joy, and intensity. Nights in motels, quiet corners of cafes, long stretches of road, all became stages for her personal transformation. Emma's heart was stretched, yes, but it was also wide open, ready to take on whatever came next, knowing that this thrilling adventure, though messy and unpredictable, was shaping her into a woman who could love, dream, and live without compromise. By the time she looked at her reflection in a rainy hotel window in Montana, she saw a woman unafraid to embrace every part of herself, to take all three paths, and to honor each connection honestly, realizing that the journey was just beginning and that every heartbeat mattered in this dance of life and love. Emma could feel the tension before she even stepped into the hotel lobby in Vancouver. The city was alive with lights, chatter, and the energy of a major charity and creative event that had accidentally brought all three of the most important people in her life under one roof. She had tried to prepare herself for the moment, telling herself to stay calm, to keep things simple, to manage her emotions, but nothing could have readied her for the collision of Daniel, Lucas, and Nathan in the same space at the same time. Daniel was the first to spot her, his eyes widening with that familiar mix of love, concern, and the quiet ache of knowing she had changed in ways he could not control. Lucas was laughing with volunteers nearby, his energy magnetic and impossible to ignore, and yet when he saw her, his expression shifted, softening into something deeper, more vulnerable than usual. Nathan, standing near the project presentation area, had his usual sharp composure, but the quick glance he gave Emma betrayed recognition, respect, and perhaps the slightest flicker of worry that she had stretched herself too thin. Emma's heart raced as she moved forward, and she realized instantly that the careful balance she had maintained between them for months was now impossible to sustain. The air felt electric, charged with unsaid words, unspoken feelings, and the weight of months of emotions all converging in one place. Daniel approached first, stepping lightly as if testing the waters, and his voice was gentle yet firm when he said her name. She could feel the steady rhythm of his love, the patience and reliability that had anchored her in calmer times, but she also sensed the quiet longing in his eyes for a version of their life that no longer existed. Lucas came next, his grin fading into a look of recognition and unspoken understanding. There was an uncontainable excitement in his energy, a reminder of the thrill, freedom, and unpredictability he had brought into her life, yet underneath it was the tenderness of someone who had always known how to see her truly, and who had always respected the parts of her that no one else had touched. Nathan waited a little farther back, observing, listening, and analyzing, his sharp mind taking in the dynamics instantly. His gaze met hers, and in that brief moment, Emma saw both pride and worry, the recognition of how far she had come, and the fear that she might be overwhelmed by the very life she had chosen. The three men stood before her, each representing a different facet of her heart, love, adventure, and ambition, and she realized with a jolt that the night would demand honesty like never before. Emma took a deep breath, steadying herself against the whirlwind of emotions inside her, and spoke clearly, choosing words that carried truth without blame. "I took all three paths," she admitted, her voice soft but firm, carrying the weight of months of growth, struggle, and self-discovery. "Because each one helped me become who I am. But I can't keep holding everyone the same way." Her words landed like stones in the air, quiet yet heavy with meaning. Daniel's jaw tightened slightly, a flash of pain crossing his face, but he did not interrupt, he simply nodded, the understanding in his eyes tempered with sorrow. Lucas's expression softened immediately, and he stepped closer, his hand brushing lightly against hers in a gesture of reassurance, whispering, "You were brave." Nathan finally moved forward, his usually sharp tone gentle, respectful, and steady. "You chose growth," he said simply, acknowledging her honesty and the courage it had taken to walk such a challenging path. The tension in the room was palpable, yet there was no anger, no confrontation, only the quiet acknowledgement of reality. Emma felt a rush of relief mingled with heartbreak, a strange cocktail of emotions that left her both lighter and heavier at the same time. She realized that by telling the truth, she had freed herself, even though the consequences were raw and real. Each man's reaction was different, yet each carried understanding. Daniel with his quiet, enduring love, Lucas with his playful yet tender energy, Nathan with his challenging yet supportive brilliance. Emma could feel the pull of their hearts, but also the boundaries she had to set for herself. The night moved fast, with conversations flowing, smiles exchanged, and glances that lingered a little too long. She noticed small details, the way Daniel's hand trembled slightly as he adjusted his cuff, the way Lucas's laugh came a little softer than usual, the way Nathan's eyes held a glint of pride and concern. These small moments told her more than words ever could, that love was not always possession, that admiration could exist alongside boundaries, and that true connection could survive honesty even when it was painful. Later, as the event drew to a close and the city lights outside the large windows blurred with movement and rain, Emma stepped outside for a moment, breathing in the cold Vancouver air. The night was alive with possibilities, yet heavy with realization. She walked along the street alone, letting the distant sounds of the city fill her senses, and thought about the journey she had undertaken, the risks she had taken, the emotions she had embraced, and the courage it had required to face all three men at once. In her chest, she felt a strange calm settle in, mixed with the ache of longing and the thrill of freedom. The collision of paths had been inevitable, and now that it had happened, Emma knew she could move forward without pretending, without hiding pieces of herself. She had chosen honesty, and in doing so, she had respected the hearts of all three men while also honoring her own. Walking back to her hotel, the rain glistening on the pavement like tiny mirrors, Emma realized that life was no longer simple or predictable, but it was intensely real. Each heartbeat carried the thrill of connection, the pain of separation, and the excitement of new beginnings. That night, she understood that love was not about choosing one person to complete her, but about embracing the people who reflected different parts of her soul, even if it meant navigating the complexity of emotions with care and courage. The city faded behind her as she climbed the stairs to her room, her thoughts racing yet focused. She felt alive, challenged, and profoundly changed, knowing that the path ahead would demand even more honesty, even deeper courage, and an unwavering commitment to living fully. Emma sat by the window, watching the lights of Vancouver stretch into the night, and smiled softly. She had survived the collision, faced the truth, and allowed love, friendship, and ambition to coexist in ways that were beautiful, messy, and real. She felt the thrill of becoming, the quiet ache of love, and the power of choice all at once, realizing that this night would forever be a turning point, a moment when life's complexity had forced her to embrace herself fully and honestly, and in doing so, she had discovered the extraordinary adventure of being truly alive. Months passed, and Emma found herself in Maine, standing on the edge of a quiet harbor, the salty wind tugging at her hair and the waves crashing gently against the docks. The city lights behind her were faint, replaced by the vastness of the ocean and the freedom it represented. Life had shifted into a new rhythm, one she had carved out with intention and courage. The project with Nathan had grown beyond her expectations, challenging her creativity, testing her limits, and giving her a sense of purpose she had never imagined. Lucas stayed in her life through letters, late-night calls, and occasional visits, each interaction filled with laughter, warmth, and a shared sense of adventure that reminded her of the thrill of living fully. Daniel and she had found a gentle, unspoken peace, no arguments, no resentment, only the quiet understanding that love could exist in many forms, and that letting go sometimes meant giving the heart room to grow. Emma reflected on the months that had passed, the nights filled with excitement, the quiet mornings of reflection, the tears shed alone in hotel rooms and apartments, the long drives and late-night conversations. Each experience had shaped her, expanded her heart, and deepened her understanding of herself and others. She realized that love was not about possession, about limiting herself or others, but about embracing honesty, vulnerability, and connection wherever it appeared. The ocean before her mirrored the life she had created, vast, unpredictable, beautiful, and filled with possibilities. She had not won love in the simple, traditional sense, but she had gained something far more profound, a life fully lived, hearts touched with honesty, and a self that was no longer afraid to grow. Emma smiled, remembering the thrill, the excitement, and even the heartbreak of the past months. Each moment had mattered, each connection had taught her something invaluable, and every choice had brought her closer to the woman she had always wanted to become. She thought of Daniel, and felt gratitude for his steady love and understanding. She thought of Lucas, and felt the rush of joy and freedom he had brought into her life, she thought of Nathan and acknowledged the growth and confidence he had inspired. Standing there, feeling the wind on her face and the waves at her feet, Emma realized that taking all three paths had been terrifying, overwhelming, and exhausting, but it had also been exhilarating, beautiful, and transformative. Her heart, once uncertain and cautious, was now wide open, capable of love, adventure, and ambition all at once. For the first time, she felt fully alive, fully herself, and fully free. Emma knew that the journey was far from over. Life would continue to challenge her, surprise her, and test her limits, but she was ready. She had learned to embrace uncertainty, to honor her emotions, and to navigate complex relationships with honesty and care. The adventure she had chosen, loving in multiple ways, pursuing her dreams, and daring to grow, was one she would carry with her forever. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of gold and pink, Emma whispered softly to herself, "My God, what an adventure!" It was not just a reflection of the past, but a promise to the future, a commitment to living boldly, loving fully, and never shrinking from the life she had fought so hard to create. In that moment, with the ocean stretching endlessly before her and the wind whispering possibilities, Emma understood something profound. True fulfillment came not from safety or certainty, but from embracing life with an open heart, daring to take risks, and allowing oneself to grow through love, challenge, and experience. She turned from the water, a soft smile on her lips, knowing that whatever came next, she was ready to face it with courage, joy, and the thrilling knowledge that she had lived fully, loved honestly, and become exactly who she was meant to be.